you guys, if you want to learn how to make my easy and delicious stuffed shells, stay tuned. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to do is prepare my sauce, and I'm using my favorite brand here, Classico, but you can use whatever brand that you like. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in a saucepan just like so, and I'm going to take a little bit of water, learn this trick from my mom, shake that jar and get all of that tomato sauce out of there. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and season our sauce up. I'm going to be using some salt, some pepper, some smoked paprika, some garlic powder, some onion powder, an Italian seasoning blend, and some sugar. We're going to give everything a good stir to make sure all of those yummy spices are well incorporated into the sauce. I'm going to put my lid on and let this simmer until I'm ready to assemble my shells. Moving on to the meat, I'm using some mild Italian sausage. You can use ground beef if you like, or you can even use a mixture of the Italian sausage and ground beef. And I do that when I make my lasagna. I'll list that in the description below for you guys. You can use ground turkey, ground chicken. You can use whatever you like, okay? So we want to make sure that we cook that sausage all the way through. And before we go to the next step, I'm going to go ahead and start cooking my jumbo shells. And this is a brand that I'm using and it's really, really good. Nice packaging and everything. I don't need the whole thing. I'm just going to use about half of that package, okay? And I'm putting that in some salted boiling water. All right, so we're going to go ahead and remove that Italian sausage, and I'm putting in a little bit of olive oil, and I'm going to go ahead and cook my spinach. All right, so I'm just using baby spinach here, an entire package, and I know it looks like a lot here, but if you're familiar with spinach, you know that it's going to wilt down to nearly nothing. Okay, so we're going to put all of that in this pan and give it a few good tosses without making a mess. So now that the spinach has cooked down, we're going to go ahead and season it up with some salt, some garlic powder, some onion powder, some pepper, and that is it. We're going to give it another good toss, and then we're going to remove that from the pan and move on to our next step. And yes, we're using the same pan because who has time to be washing a whole bunch of dishes? Not me. So we're using that same pan. We're going to put in about 3 tablespoons or so of butter. We're going to be putting in a little bit of garlic paste as well. Give that a good stir, just like so. Next, I'm going to be pouring in about 1.5 cups of heavy cream. And then I'm going to be using the same seasonings that I've been using all throughout this recipe because I want everything to be cohesive, you guys. So I'm going to be using some onion powder, some garlic powder, some smoked paprika, a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper, and that Italian seasoning blend. And give that a good stir and let that simmer until everything gets nice and thick. Moving on to our ricotta cheese mixture, I'm using 1 container of ricotta cheese, and then I'm using about 3/4 cup of an Italian cheese blend. And I'm also going to be using some grated Parmesan cheese, maybe 1/4 cup or so of that. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and season this up because ricotta has no flavor at all. So we're just going to use some salt, some pepper, and that Italian seasoning blend as well. So we're just going to give everything a good stir, making sure that everything is blended really, really well. To that cheese mixture, we're going to add in the cooked spinach, and we're also going to add in the mild Italian sausage, but I ended up not adding in the whole pound. I saved a little bit so I can use it for breakfast the next morning. Now we're going to give that a really good stir, making sure that everything is well combined. And that's my husband lurking in the background. He was so ready to eat. And of course, we had to taste the mixture to make sure that it was yummy. And it was. Didn't need to adjust at all. So now we are ready to assemble. I'm going to be putting several spoonfuls of that yummy tomato sauce that we made earlier. My shells have had a chance to cool down, so handling them is not a problem here. I'm just going to be taking a hefty spoonful of that mixture and stuffing them in the shells, just like so, and then laying them on top of that tomato sauce. So for this recipe, as you can see, I was able to get 18 really, really good sized shells. All right, so now that we have all of them filled, we're going to go ahead and top them off with that tomato sauce, just like so. And you can definitely stop here with the tomato sauce and just add a little bit of cheese on the top and pop this in an oven. Or you can be a little extra like I like to be sometimes and add on that yummy, delicious cream sauce that we made earlier, pouring that right over the top. And this is going to add some unctuousness and some creaminess and definitely some more deliciousness. All right. So now we're going to add on a little bit of cheese. And I'm just using that same Italian cheese blend that we used earlier and sprinkling that all over the top. And I'm popping this in a 375-degree oven for approximately 20 minutes, 25 minutes. It doesn't take long at all. And this is how it looks once it comes out, you guys. Absolutely delicious. Now, you would want this to sit like you would a lasagna, but I could not wait, y'all. I was a little bit impatient and my babies were ready to eat, so I didn't let it sit as long as I needed to. But when you cook this recipe, make sure you let it sit for a good 10 to 15 minutes, okay, so everything can set. So I'm serving myself up 3 shells, and then I'm going to be also pouring on that delicious sauce. Sprinkling on a little bit more Parmesan cheese and some parsley. And that is it, you guys. My easy and delicious stuffed shells, you guys. This is an absolute hit in my household. Everybody loves it, especially my 9-year-old, my little foodie. He loves this. He said, Mom, this is 100 out of 100. It was so good, you guys. I really hope you try this recipe and I hope you love it just as much as we do. I love you guys so, so much. I thank you so much for watching as always. Check out my food playlist for other recipes and I'll see y'all on the next one. Until then, bye.